Today on the podcast, I have another returning guest. He was in my second episode ever, and it was a cracking old episode, and he's back again. He's been very, very busy. Mr. Stephen Kelly, how are you doing?
How are you doing, Marcy? Well, yes, I remember that podcast. It was a beautiful podcast. Really enjoyed that one, actually. I was in the bar then.
Yeah, and the beard has come on strong since then.
Big time. I don't think I might have trimmed it once since, but it's taken over a life of its own. I was just saying there before we came on, it nearly needs its own Instagram page or TikTok page.
Tell us what happened recently for you when you were out and about.
Yeah, well, we were down, myself and Pete were down in Carrick and Shannon, and it's funny, you spend years, like, you're on television, you're on Netflix, you do the live shows, you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook, and suddenly this TikTok app takes over. And we were down in Carrick and Shannon, and we were in talks with trying to get a bit of sponsorship going for the podcast and whatnot. And every second person is like, "Oh, you're the TikTok man. You love your videos." And I'm like, you spend years trying to make it online, and suddenly this little app comes along, and you're the TikTok man. And I'm like, I'm not the TikTok man. But no, but look, it was good crack.
We're going to go.
Any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, we're going to go into the videos now in a bit, but I wanted to talk to you about the podcast because you've done an awful lot since we last met. Do you want to tell anyone that's not familiar with it what it is and what you guys do?
Yeah, well, we set up the podcast to sort of fill the void of not having live gigs, and it was a good way of keeping everyone together, even though the lockdown was happening. And we said Pete's up in Donegal, plays French toast. Salmon does be working now. Salmon isn't in all of them because, as I keep saying on the podcast, Mikey's the only one out of the lot of us that actually has a 5-day-a-week job. So when we get him, we're blessed, but when we don't, we have to continue on. And then there's Chris Scavigan as well. So we set up the Dead Hedgehogs podcast to keep the ball rolling, and also to fit in with the online page or online videos I put up and posts and whatnot. The thing is, we've broken it down into, well, we started up a new sort of format now as well. We get guests on, we try and get biggest names as possible, but also we've used people that maybe are up and coming. So we've got as names like Dave Moore from Today FM. We've got down as far as Natalia Doherty, who's trying to break into the MMA. So it doesn't matter who you are, if you have a good story or your sound and you can talk, we'll have you on, and we'll make the most of it. And then we've also done a thing called Agony Uncles, where we get people to send in their problems. Some of them are real. When I say real, some of them are like proper problems. Others are people just taking the mick. But look, we'll make fun of them all, or we'll talk about them all. We'll try and help out as best as possible. And in fact, sometimes they've been the best ones. We've got some of the best responses from the Agony Uncles one, because it's just the three of us. There's no the three or the four of us sometimes. There's no real pressure. We're just ourselves, very much so, going through people's problems. Also, people will send in funny stories, and we'll read them out as well. And so that's been good. Also, I done one where I was talking about my own experience through the heart attack I had when I was 28, and then the aneurysm, coming back from that, and being as positive as possible, trying to inspire people that may be down their luck to that all is not lost. When you're down, everything can come back. And then we've just started one that I'm really interested in and really enjoyed doing last week, where we get people in Ireland. Well, it doesn't have to be Ireland, but it's 90% Irish musicians, artists, anything that is to do with the arts. Send in your links. We listen to them, whether it be music, art, poetry, anything at all. Send it in. We'll listen to it there and then and give our honest opinion on it, give a few pointers on our experience or what we do, and literally just review it, really. And as we were doing it, we came up with this plan or idea that we were going to rate them. We'll give them a mark out of 10 each. So it was me, Chris, and Pete that was sat in for the last one. So we took scores and we give an honest score. We marked them out of 30 then, and at the end, we done 10 links the last day. So at the end, we had 2 that were joint first up until the last one. I won't give the engine away.
Very
But,
X Factor.
Yes. It was very good. I really enjoyed it. We were able to sit back and have a glass of wine actually for a change, and it was great out crack. So if anyone's watched this, send in your links to Dead Hedgehogs for $3 left. We'll give them a review. Plus, it's a great platform. We will, when we do put it up, we will make sure everyone gets a mention, and especially the good ones. So it's a great way of getting your name out there as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I do. Like I'd have some famous wrestlers on, but I've kind of tried to get a few independent wrestlers that people don't know as well on this channel and bring them in. Like, and it's more content, and you're reaching to a wider audience, like kind of whoever you touch, you know.
Yeah. We didn't. Well, we know that you're doing the wrestling thing anyway. Wrestling wouldn't be my forte. I wouldn't know. The 2 lads would know, or the 3 lads would know a lot about it. We've had a couple of MMA fighters on. We've had Tom Egan first,
Aisling Daly,
and Aisling Daly as well. You know, the first Irish female UFC fighter and the first Irish UFC fighter. So next stop is McGregor himself.
Hopefully. You've been doing your own videos as well, which we're going to take a look at some of them now. Kind of based around the lockdown. And before we get into it, like, we're not like anti-mask or any bullshit like that. It's like you were picking holes where there's holes to be picked in the guidelines. I think it's fair just to point that out there before people start bashing you.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Before we go any further, what happened was, because of these anti-lockdown, and I stress the anti-lockdown videos, a big cohort of anti-vaxxers sort of latched on. Okay.
Yeah.
So I even in some of my videos, I mentioned roll out the vaccine to fuck until we get back to normal. It was never about anti-vaccine. It was never about anti-mask. In fact, I said to roll out the vaccine, and one of them, I make a point of making fun of conspiracy theorists about these, 5G nonsense or whatever. And a couple of them, I say wear your maskings, and I make fun of it like as if it's like if you're going out, make sure to wrap up and wear a mask as well. There was a message in these videos, but the first thing about them was to make them funny. Like, we're entertainers, we're comedians. That was the first and foremost thing.
Yeah.
So, but some people latched onto them because they were anti-government.
Mm-hmm.
But first and foremost, they were meant to be funny. It was meant to be a hook in the beginning, a message, a funny message in the middle, and then towards the end, there's usually a joke at the end as well. Just the way you would do a live set on stage, whether it be 7 minutes or 70 minutes. You have a massive joke in the beginning, you settle people in for the middle, and then at the end, you finish strong again. And that is the basis of the videos. And that's how they were meant to be. And yes, there's a message in some of them, and it was a great way of getting my feelings across. But then the other day, we put up. Mikey shared a picture of him with the vaccine, and the anti-vaxxers went nuts. So in the end, I didn't even respond to them, and neither did Mikey, because there was no point.
Yeah.
Like, it was never about anti-vaxxers. I was on the radio a couple of weeks ago as well, and I had to stress this. It was never about anti-vax. It was never about anti-mask. It was about anti-lockdown. I didn't agree with the way it was handled.
Anti-shite government.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was, and I didn't want to I never wanted to get personal. The most personal I got was my last video where I mentioned,
which we'll get into later.
Yeah, which was a broad dig at the government. It wasn't an actual individual itself.
Yeah, the first one I'm going to show is actually from I'd say it's about 6 or 7 months ago, and it's in Salt Hill, and it was relevant this week because of what happened in Dublin, but we're going to take a look at it anyway.
Yeah.
Anyone that was shocked or surprised yesterday at the events at Salt Hill or any of the other beaches around the country would want a good hard kick of a reality boot right up the hole. I mean, it was bound to happen. It's the result of 14 months of pure sexual frustration. Young fellas in their own bedrooms pulling the cock off themselves, and young ones going around slipping around their own love juices just for the want of a bit of loving. Throw the bit of sun into it, it's like giving whiskey to the Indians. It's the recipe for a proper crack orgy. And the next day the sun comes out, hopefully to fuck, I'll be stuck in the middle of it. It's time now to open up things so that we can all get back to some sort of normality in this country. Us Irish boys need the crack. We need the pints. We need the pubs. So it's time now to open them up.
And that was ages ago, and it's still relevant.
Yeah. But that was it. And I even shared one yesterday, and it was actually quite a very similar one. And it basically it's the same joke but told differently.
Yeah,
it's the same stick, but there's a different gag in it. And of course, giving out about the government and pints and sun and the whole sexual frustration thing. I mean, people love it. I mean, it's every day. It's young fellas from when you're 16 to till the day you die. You know, that's something that everyone relates to. And I realized this before lockdown. Before I done a video that actually I didn't send over, and it's nearly 2 years ago, and it was the time of the election, and it was before the election, and it started snowing, and remember these videos? Some of them I are on the spot, and I just have an idea in my head. Other ones like that one there, I thought about that one for maybe 2 hours. I was just driving along, and I was putting it all together in my head. And I remember I stopped and I done it once. And I thought to myself, I can do it better. So I drove again to where I was meant to go. And that was about 10 or 15 minutes later. And next thing I bashed that out. And I remember you can see me reaching for something. I realized that there's something on my beard. And I just go like that, like completely natural. I didn't even realize I was doing it because I seen it in the camera. But I realized that it was that you know when the video is funny, you know when it's funny. Yeah. You know that you cannot get a better take on it. But I remember thinking, shit, if that thing wasn't there, it was perfect. But actually, it made it. It was like this hand just comes in and just takes the little crumb or whatever it was in my beard. And it actually, I said, I no matter how many times I do it, it won't be as funny as that.
I actually haven't had a takeaway pint yet. Have you?
No. But then again, like I've not got a takeaway pint yet. We have a bar set up at like the last podcast we done.
Yeah.
And I've been living off cans, and also recently we got 2 kegs of Irish stout sent up to us by Brennan's Brewery in Wexford. I never thought there would be a stout as good, or if not better, than Guinness. But they sent it up to us first to try out, and I want to give them a big shout out. There may be future stuff coming down with them, but we'll leave that for again. So I've had the pleasure of having draft pints over the last few weeks.
Your own ones.
Yes.
Yeah, I do miss pints, but I'm not going to go and fucking stand on the street and have nowhere to piss and drink pints. Like, it just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah. If the lads were going down and I was free, and I wouldn't go out of my way to do that. I like the comfort of the pub. I like, just to be back to what it was, to be normal. I mean, wouldn't it be better to be in a pub and it's sort of half regulated than to be out thousands of people on the street bumping into each other, and actually probably ending up, I'm sure a lot of street drinking ends up in scuffles and shit like that. that wouldn't really happen in a pub.
Yeah, and probably after parties and stuff like that. But
yeah, 100%. It's all nonsense. It's just like prohibition. It's like if you stop selling it, people are going to get what they want one way or another.
It's like that episode of The Simpsons with the beer baron. Have you seen that one?
I didn't.
Oh, you should watch that one. It's St. Patrick's Day in America, and Bart gets drunk, and then Springfield bans alcohol.
I for some reason, is Barney in it?
Oh, Barney's in it, yeah.
Yeah, I think I might have seen bits of it, but my memories of The Simpsons, it may have been 5 or 10 minutes I was stood in for it.
Yeah.
What used to be on Channel 4, isn't it?
Channel 4 and Sky 1. I think there's some on RT2 as well.
Yeah.
Right. We'll go into the next video. This one was about inter-county travel. I remember when you were living in Mayo now, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you weren't allowed to go to places like Roscommon, for example.
Anyone getting excited about the fact we're able to travel from one county into another needs a fucking reality check. At the end of the day, you're getting excited about the fact you're able to travel into Roscommon. Who the fuck gets excited about the fact you're able to travel into Roscommon? No offence, lads. And those cunts up there in the Dáil nearly want a medal for the fact you're allowing us to travel around our own country. And anyone that's about to blow the beans at the prospect of being able to drink pints outside next month in beer gardens, least I fucking remind ye, it's not the Bahamas, it's Ireland, i.e., it rains 364 days of the fucking year, and you could get your Mickey frostbitten in July. I hope as well they're able to pull as much money out of their holes for mental health and the housing crisis and homelessness and all the other problems we face in this country today as they are for this shit fest. Now it's time now to open everything up to fuck and get back to some sort of normality.
I love the open up to fuck. That's my favourite part of the videos.
That's became a tag. I'd be driving down to the streets of Westport, or my hometown is Swinford, and I hear young fellas shouting about, open up the pubs to fuck. But I must make some merch with that actually, that hashtag.
Yeah. Just open up to fuck, yeah.
That video we always, for some reason we have a love-hate relationship with Roscommon. I love Roscommon. I love Roscommon people. I know some great people, but I had to pick some county.
Yeah.
So I thought the funniest county for a Mayo man to pick would be Roscommon, and 99.9% of Roscommon people got the funny side of it. But that was another thing, and I was like, the government were making out that, oh God, we're going to have outdoor drinking next month.
Yeah.
And
what do you think about that?
It's great. It's a step forward, but now it's happening next week.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's only going to suit like the odd day. Hopefully, we'll get the weather for it. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But again, what's going to happen is you're going to get massive crowds outside, and it's going to be no different to being inside. It's just it's going to get. I suppose the idea is that there's a time limit. It'll get dark and people will go home, but that won't happen either, especially in the cities.
Yeah, see, where I am in Kilkenny, there's nowhere going to bother opening. I'm not in Kilkenny City now. I'm in a small town outside it, but the pubs here are just not. They're not bothered because they don't have the space to open for outdoor.
That's another thing. This will only benefit certain pubs, big places with beer gardens and places outside. There's a lot of pubs that don't have a back out the back. There's a lot of pubs that don't have like a footpath out the front. It's not good to them.
Yeah,
even the ones that do, some of the ones that do, it wouldn't be worth their while hiring staff, getting in food for half, not even half of trade that they should be doing. So they're probably just losing money.
Yeah, there's 4 pubs in this town, and none of them can open next month, so the town will still be dry. But I have friends in Dublin I haven't seen in like fucking way over a year, so I'm going up to Dublin to place in Harold's Cross. McGowan's of Harold's Cross, a great old spot.
Oh, I know it well. One colleague and used to live right beside it.
Yeah, he done a night for me actually there. He done the crash team racing night there, owned it. And there was all sorts of nonsense going on that night.
Yeah. That's right.
But in the end of that video, you touched on the mental health as well and how shite the services are and stuff like that. So that was the hidden message within that video.
That was the hidden message in that one. When I knew these videos were getting so much attention, I decided I will get a message across with the humor. But getting back to the first one I done when it was nothing to do with the lockdown and it started snowing, that just I meant to finish that story. That was about the election and about the snowfall and the snow has fallen just like all the electoral promises that the governments the politicians are making. But in that as well, there was actually a train nearby it, and it gave a hoot. And without breaking stride, I just went, "Save it for your wife." And then I went back into it, and it made the video that little bit more funny. But it got a great reaction. It just took off, and from that I was thinking, yeah, I have a shtick here, and it's working. And who doesn't like pints? Who doesn't give out about the government? And then what young fella isn't a randy bastard? So, it just worked. It worked from there. So I went. Now sometimes I don't get the three of them in, but I definitely get one, if not two of them in the video, in a different way, throughout the videos. Yeah. But some of these videos, like I said, I have an idea in my head and I just start rolling. Others, one or two of them I've wrote out roughly, and I've gone along with it. Others then, one line might come to me, like the one with the white shirt where I mentioned the PTO shaft. That I was just falling asleep, and I thought to myself, please don't forget this in the morning. Please don't forget the PTO shaft. And that was the one that really took off, and the first one that went nuts.
Yeah. This is the next one I'm going to show you is my favorite one, and I'll tell you why afterwards.
Okay.
The shower that are run in this country left too long in the titty when they were younger, or did they just not get enough of it when they were in college? I mean, I've seen more crack in a mass card. For 15 months we've had nor wedding nor wake, nor pint nor pub, nor leadership, nor loving, nor fuck all. But the best that these lads can come up with is, let's raise the price of alcohol. Sure, that'll fix it. One government minister coming out and saying, we're selling water more expensive than alcohol. Well, lower the fucking price of water then, you bollocks. Not everything has to match your fat salaries. And you'd say something if the money was going to be used to fight addiction or something like that. But off it'll wander back into the vaults of the Dáil, back down, way down there where Bertie Ahern is hanging out and the ghost of Charles Ahi. And it'll magically re-emerge next year. Woohoo! Magically as a pay rise for the government. Abraca-fucking-babra job. Still though, at least the hairdressers are open. For anyone that'd need them, like.
Yeah, I like that one, and I like the little hairdresser bit at the end. But the thing I found interesting about that was, right, I work in a shop, okay? And since the pandemic has come in, like they were on about all these rules for off licenses for years, okay? So since the pandemic has come in, the government have kind of accelerated all these rules. Now, I don't know if you've noticed from being in shops that they're all the alcohol has to be in a separate section. All the spirits have to be behind shutters, behind the tills, kind of like the cigarettes. We got an email a couple of weeks ago. No, it was about a couple of months ago now. And it was like, you're not allowed to multi-buys on single cans or single bottles of beer anymore. So you can buy a 6-pack of Carlsberg for a tenner, but you can't buy 6 individual cans for a tenner. So what we done was we had Coors 6 for a tenner in our shop. Right. So what we done was we dropped the price of Coors to $1.67. So you still get 6 of them for a tenner. But it's all these loopholes you have to jump through. But
yeah,
if people want to drink, people want to drink, they're going to get it. Like,
of course, it's the same with cigarettes. It's the same with anything, drugs or anything. Not that I'm into drugs, but if people want drugs, they'll get them. Just like if someone wants to break into your house bad enough, no matter how bad your alarm or good your alarm is, or your car alarm is, they'll find a way break into it. It's just the way people are, and obviously I don't condone anyone stealing anything, but people will do what they need to do.
Yeah. And a lot of people were saying, this minimum pricing now is going to come in it's coming in on the 1st of January next year. So I've thought about this from working in retail. And what is going to happen is, like, normally, what is it, 2 slabs of Guinness last year for 40 maybe at one point? But can you imagine how cheap drink is going to be this Christmas? Because this is Diageo, the boys, this is their last fucking hurrah to send out as much drink as cheaply as possible. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And they're going to have...
Actually, Tesco were doing 2 slabs of Guinness for €35 at last Christmas.
Well, it's going to be even cheaper this year because they're going to have this minimum pricing thing coming in on the 1st of January of all times. Plus, they're going to be trying to stop people thinking about that and going up to Newry and getting their beer. So I think it's going to be, there'll be a lot of stacking up done this Christmas, I think.
Right. You're you know what? You're dead right there. You're on the ball.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. So I was like, I'll definitely be stacking up. And then when it comes to the water, you were saying, well, lower the price of fucking water then. Valid point.
That joke, that came to me. I read an article before I went for a run, and like I commented on I think it was Joe.ie, and I put up a comment on Minister Donnelly, and I knew that I was doing well. I think it got 1,400 reactions in an hour or two. And I was thinking to myself, that was a funny line. And I thought to myself, actually, would have been a funnier on my run. I was thinking to myself, what would have been a funnier line would have been, "We'll lower the price of water than you bollocks."
Yeah.
So then I said I have to put that into a video. But I meant to do the video as soon as I got back from the run, but I got called away to do something, and I didn't do that video until the next day. But I said I wasn't going to let that line slide.
Yeah, right. Another video here, and then this is going to tie us up then, and we're going to talk about what's to come for you guys.
Till now I've remained quiet about these lockdowns, but even before they're over, them shower of cunts up there in the Dáil are talking about these Indian and Brazil and fuck knows where else variants that are coming. The only Indian variant I want to be listening to is how spicy my Vindaloo's going to be in the pub. Preferably inside, listening to some Dickie Rock wannabe singing away in the corner thinking that he's mighty. And he is mighty. I don't want to be outside in the Persian cold where it's so cold your Mickey shrinks so far back up into your stomach you get indigestion. And I want time to enjoy my meal and my pint. I want the crack. I don't want to feel like I'm being served at a Till and Aldi on a busy Friday. Either these restrictions are lifting or they're not fucking lifting. You're either pregnant or you're not pregnant, like. It'd paid you, the government, better if they sorted out the HSE and the shitfest that they find itself in. And put someone in charge who knows what they're fucking doing instead of some prick that should be in a Proclaimers Tribute Act.
The thing I took from that one, right, was the Dickie Rock thing. And he is deadly. That was kind of, I think, your way of saying, let entertainment continue.
Yeah, 100%.
Let it recommence. That's what I want to talk about next is like we know, like me and you would know a lot of people in bands and do weddings and work in comedy and things like that. There's just no sign of anyone getting back to that line of work, is there?
Yeah, no, like we put up, I dying to get back on stage, and we done a podcast with Tom O'Mahony recently as well, and it's just gone on YouTube tonight actually, and he can't wait. Like he had a funny quote a couple of months ago. It was perfect timing as well. He said he'd play in the Cecil Hotel, just to get back on stage. Our artists and performers, it's not just about money for them, although obviously it's nice to make a living from it. It's a way of life. It's like a drug. Being on stage, doing what you love doing, and actually getting paid for it as well is the bonus. But it just keeps you going. And that's what I want to get back to. And I just wanted to give a shout out. That video, the line that I wanted to get in on that video started with, I thought Minister Donnelly looks awful like one of the Proclaimers with the glasses. So that's that's the line I wanted to get in, and the rest was built around that.
Yeah.
But and that video would have been a lot different only for that day. They brought out the regulations for when the pubs open, and it was like no live music past certain time. It was there was a time limit was back again, and and that's when I thought of the Aldi on the till and Aldi thing, because I used to work in Aldi.
Yeah.
So everything is, and then the line about either the restrictions are lifting or they're not fucking lifted. That was a line that I wanted to get in for ages. So that was just a beautiful coming together of lines that I thought of, and I just put them together on the spot. And Dickie Rock just came into me. I've used Dickie Rock in a few videos down the years. I just think the name just rolls off the tongue, and he is an Irish icon from a certain generation. So like everyone knows Dickie Rock. Anyone our age or even younger and older would know Dickie Rock, and I just think it's a funny name, not a funny name.
Funny name, yeah. Have you guys looked into, because I was looking into, I do certain parties for wrestling events and things during the year. Mm-hmm. One of them's in August, one of them's in November, and I'm kind of like, but they're on till, say, late in the night, say 3-4 o'clock, and I'm looking at them and I think, right, I don't think that could happen. So I'm in the middle of like trying to move some of our events to Belfast because things are getting back to normal there. Have you guys looked into doing any gigs up that way as well? Yeah.
The thing is, we haven't looked into any gigs at the minute. We put up, as I was saying earlier, and I meant to finish this again. I'm awful for wandering off conversation. We put up like a questionnaire where you pick on our pages on Facebook and Instagram. We said you pick where we're going to do the first 3 shows of post COVID, and we got a great response. Galway, we got a massive response for Galway, so that's going to happen. No matter, we haven't picked the venue yet, but I'm going to literally be at that tomorrow trying to figure it out. Cork was a massive response from Cork, so we're going to be down there. And then it was Kildare, but in the mistake in my count up, I left the Kildare vote aside, and then there was like a block of 4. There was Donegal, Dublin, Tipperary, and Wexford, and they all had the same amount of votes. So I said, there's a 4-way for the 3rd spot, but I forgot about Kildare. So we're going to put on 4 shows for 2021. So it's going to be Galway, Cork, Kildare, and then it looks like Donegal. So we haven't looked in the north yet. I really wanted to keep it to the Republic to start off with. I want to give Ireland a chance. Firstly, so I really hope. I'm a massive optimist, and I want to when I do announce these, I want the venues to be right. I want it to be in 2021, and I don't want to announce something and then for it not to happen. So I want to make 100% sure. But
that's the worry, though, isn't it?
I'll go north if that is the case. I will go north, and in fact, I'll be going across the water if I need to.
Yeah, that's the only reason I was thinking, like, because we have venues in Dublin and venues in Kilkenny and wherever that we like to do things in, but I'm just worried that entertainment just seems to be shut out, and then late bars and stuff like that we would need. But then for you to try and book a gig now, let's say, and if you want a gig for 100 people, say, but you can only have 30% capacity, that's 30 people. So what do they want you to do? Book the fucking Tree Arena or somewhere?
Yeah, well, that's the problem. There's a fine balance. So literally, it's going to be an art to try and to book that. You're going to end up booking big venues just to get the crowd in. That's, you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? You're going to have to end up booking massive rooms just to, if the regulations are the way that they're meant to be, just to allow people. You're going to have to end up booking like 400 or 500 person venues just to get 100 people in, or 120 people in.
But then the cost of that then as well.
The venue are, you know, everyone's going to have to work together here as well. You know?
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll see you back on the road soon.
Hopefully 100%. I'm actually, I just got the green light today. This is not a live gig, but it's a little pilot thing that myself and the Big Red Machine, Mark Maloney, are about to endeavor in. I'm going over to Sweden and we're going to shoot for 10 days. This thing that we have an American producer coming over, and he wants to film the two of us, sort of like Boys on Tour sort of thing. So we'll see what happens with that. You never know what might come of it.
Oh, deadly. That sounds good. When you said the Big Red Machine, I was instantly thinking Kane, WWE. That's his name.
No.
Thanks a million, Ilan. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, no problem, Mars. It was a pleasure, as always.
Perfect.
Take care, man.